Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the UES Defiant, watching distant stars ripple through the quantum distortion field surrounding her ship. Most captains in the United Earth Fleet commanded vessels with clean lines and predictable behaviors. The Defiant, with its crystalline lattice hull and experimental quantum core, was anything but predictable. Engineering reports quantum fluctuations at 18% above baseline. Commander, Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez called from her station. Still within safety parameters, but Dr. Evans wants you to know she's monitoring the situation. Sarah nodded, a slight smile crossing her face. The Defiant's chief engineer was brilliant but cautious, a natural response to working with technology that even its creators hadn't fully understood. The ship was the last prototype of Project Oracle, an ambitious attempt to harness quantum mechanics for space travel. When the project's lead scientist disappeared under mysterious circumstances, the military brass had quickly abandoned the program in favor of more conventional designs. But Sarah had seen something in the Oracle files that others missed. The quantum core's instability wasn't a flaw. It was trying to communicate something about the nature of space itself. She'd spent 3 years convincing the Admiralty to let her recommission the prototype. They'd agreed, but only as a research vessel stationed in the backwaters of human space. New contact. Lieutenant Jack Cooper's voice cut through her thoughts. Multiple signatures appearing at the edge of our sensor range. Configuration unknown. Sarah moved to the tactical station, studying the readings. Dozens of ships were emerging from what appeared to be some kind of fold in spacetime. Their energy signatures were like nothing in Earth's database. "Battle stations," she ordered calmly. "But keep our weapons powered down. Let's not appear hostile until we know their intentions." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency despite their limited combat experience. The Defiant had never been in actual combat. The Admiralty wouldn't risk their unstable experiment in real engagements. "Message incoming," Rodriguez reported. "Text only, universal trade language." The words appeared on the main screen. "Your presence has been noted. You will submit to inspection and categorization. Resistance will result in immediate termination." "Charming," Sarah muttered. "Any match on their configuration in the xenological database?" "None, Commander," Cooper replied. "But their energy readings, there's something odd about them. The quantum sensors are going crazy." Sarah studied the data flowing across her screen. The alien ships seemed to be generating their own space-time distortions, similar to but more advanced than the Defiant's quantum field. That's when she noticed something extraordinary. The ship's quantum core was resonating with the alien vessels, its fluctuations synchronizing with their drive signatures. "Dr. Evans to the bridge," she called over the comm. "And bring your quantum mechanics models." The alien ships were spreading out in a standard containment pattern. Their technology might be advanced, but their tactics were predictable. They clearly expected the lone human vessel to either flee or submit. "They're scanning us," Cooper reported. "Our quantum field is distorting their readings, but they're being thorough." Dr. Helen Evans arrived on the bridge, her gray hair disheveled as always when she was deep in calculations. "Commander, the core's behavior is unprecedented. It's not just resonating with their drives, it's learning from them. The quantum fluctuations are self-organizing into new patterns." Sarah felt a familiar excitement building in her chest. This was why she'd fought so hard to bring the Defiant back into service. The ship wasn't just a failed experiment. It was an adaptation engine, capable of learning and evolving in ways its designers had never imagined. "How long until they're in weapons range?" she asked Cooper. 4 minutes at current speed. They're being cautious, probably confused by our quantum signature." Sarah smiled. "Good. Dr. Evans, what would happen if we increased power to the quantum core?" "Not our usual careful approach. I want to see what this ship can really do." The engineer's eyes widened. "The models suggest, well, the core's adaptive algorithms might fully synchronize with their technology. But the power requirements would be enormous, and the stress on the lattice hull could be exactly what the ship was designed to handle." Sarah finished. We've been so careful with her, treating the quantum fluctuations as a danger to be contained. What if they're actually the key to understanding advanced space-time manipulation? The alien ships were closing in, their formation perfect, their intentions clear. They expected submission from what they probably saw as a primitive vessel. They had no idea they were about to help unlock the true potential of humanity's most advanced technology. Dr. Evans, begin increasing power to the quantum core. Lieutenant Rodriguez, prepare to broadcast a response to our friends out there. Let's show them that humanity doesn't submit to demands. We adapt. The Defiant's crystalline hull began to pulse with ethereal light as its quantum core spun up to unprecedented levels. The ship that everyone had mocked as unstable and dangerous was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapons are the ones that can learn from their enemies. And Sarah Chen, the commander who had never lost faith in the Defiant's potential, was ready to show the galaxy why humanity's greatest strength was its ability to turn apparent weaknesses into revolutionary advantages. The Defiant's quantum core hummed with unprecedented power, sending ripples through the fabric of space-time. On the bridge, status displays flickered with readings that should have been impossible. Dr. Evans watched her instruments with a mixture of terror and fascination as the ship's systems began to synchronize with the alien vessel's quantum signatures. Core temperature rising, Rodriguez reported, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Quantum fluctuations at 300% of rated capacity and still climbing. The alien fleet had paused their advance, clearly detecting something unusual about their prey. Their next message appeared with a noticeably different tone. Anomalous energy signature detected. Cease quantum field modifications immediately or face destruction. They're scared, Sarah realized aloud. They've never seen anything like this before. She turned to Dr. Evans. What are we learning from their quantum signatures? The engineer's fingers flew across her console, correlating data streams. Their drives operate on similar principles to ours, but they're using fixed quantum states. Our core's adaptive algorithms are. It's like we're learning their language, but we can speak it in ways they never imagined. A warning klaxon blared as the lead alien vessel fired what appeared to be a warning shot, a burst of exotic particles that would have torn through conventional shields. But when it struck the Defiant's quantum field, something extraordinary happened. Commander, Cooper called out in amazement. The field didn't just deflect that shot, it absorbed it. Core efficiency just jumped another 15%. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Just as I suspected. The quantum core doesn't just generate fields, it learns from every interaction. Dr. Evans, what happens if we redirect that absorbed energy? Before the engineer could answer, the alien fleet launched a full barrage. Streams of exotic particles crossed space toward the Defiant, each bearing enough power to vaporize a conventional vessel. The bridge crew held their breath, trusting in their commander's theories. The impacts never came. The Defiant's quantum field rippled like the surface of a pond, absorbing each shot. The crystalline hull blazed with stored energy, patterns of light dancing across its surface in impossible geometries. Core stability at 97% despite energy absorption, Rodriguez reported with barely contained excitement. The lattice structure is actually getting stronger. Dr. Evans stared at her readings in disbelief. The quantum core is using their attacks to refine its own operations. Every shot they fire teaches us more about how their technology works. It's not just adapting, it's evolving. The alien fleet's formation wavered for the first time. Their next communication carried an edge of uncertainty. Your vessel's capabilities exceed known parameters. Identify your quantum technology source immediately. Sarah stood from her command chair, her voice firm, as she dictated a response. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the UES Defiant. Our technology is our own, developed through human innovation and determination. Your demands for submission are denied. She turned to her tactical officer. Mr. Cooper, let's show them what we've learned. Target their lead vessel with a focused quantum pulse. Minimal power, just enough to demonstrate our capabilities. Hooper's fingers danced across his console, channeling a fraction of their absorbed energy through the newly evolved quantum field. The beam that lanced out from the Defiant was beautiful in its complexity, a helix of intertwined quantum states that passed straight through the alien vessel's defenses as if they weren't there. The alien ship's shields flared and collapsed, its engine sputtering as its quantum drive struggled to compensate for the disruption. They had never encountered a weapon that could speak to their technology in its own language. "Multiple ships powering up weapons," Hooper warned. "They're switching to some kind of secondary armament. Energy signatures are completely different." Sarah nodded calmly. "Let them come. Every new weapon they throw at us is just another lesson for our quantum core to learn." She turned to Dr. Evans. "How much more can the core adapt?" The engineer was still processing the data from their first exchange. "The theoretical limits. They don't seem to apply anymore. The core's adaptive algorithms are operating in ways I never thought possible. It's as if the ship is anticipating their actions, preparing countermeasures before they even fire." The alien fleet began to move again, but their perfect formation had been replaced by a more cautious approach. They spread out in a complex three-dimensional pattern, clearly preparing to test the Defiant's capabilities with everything in their arsenal. Sarah felt a surge of pride in her ship and crew. The vessel that had been dismissed as unstable, dangerous, and useless was about to teach these aliens a lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. Every weapon they fired, every tactic they tried, would only make the Defiant stronger. "All stations, prepare for combat maneuvers," she ordered. "Let's show them what happens when humanity decides to push the boundaries of what's possible." The quantum core's hum rose to a crescendo as the Defiant prepared to dance with its adversaries. In the space between moments, as alien weapons prepared to fire, Sarah Chen and her crew stood ready to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in having the most advanced technology. It was in understanding how to use technology in ways its creators never imagined. The alien fleet's secondary weapons unleashed a storm of graviton torpedoes, each one designed to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Under normal circumstances, even a single hit would have been catastrophic, but the Defiant was far from normal. "Multiple incoming graviton signatures," Cooper announced, his hand steady on the tactical controls. "Impact in 3 seconds." Sarah watched calmly as the torpedoes streaked toward them. "Dr. Evans, how's our quantum field adaptation coming along?" "The core's already analyzing their graviton patterns," the engineer replied, her eyes fixed on the streaming data. "It's incredible. The field is reconfiguring itself to match their graviton frequencies." The impacts came not as explosions, but as ripples of light across the Defiant's crystalline hull. Each torpedo's energy was absorbed and processed by the quantum core, adding new patterns to its ever-expanding repertoire of adaptations. "Power levels spiking," Rodriguez reported. "The core is converting their graviton energy into usable quantum states. We're actually gaining power from their attacks." The alien fleet's formation scattered as their most powerful weapons proved not just ineffective, but counterproductive. Their next communication carried a note of desperation. "Your vessel violates known physical laws. Surrender your quantum technology, or be designated as an Omega-level threat." Sarah's response was to activate the ship's newly enhanced capabilities. The Defiant's quantum field expanded, creating a space-time distortion that made the ship appear to be in multiple places simultaneously. "What the hell?" Cooper exclaimed, watching his tactical display. "Commander, I'm reading phantom signatures of our ship across a 2-light-second radius. The core is somehow projecting quantum echoes of itself." Dr. Evans rushed to explain. "The graviton torpedoes taught the core how to manipulate local space-time. It's not creating illusions. It's actually splitting our quantum signature across multiple probability states." The alien fleet's coordinated attack dissolved into chaos as their targeting systems struggled to identify which version of the Defiant was real. Their shots passed harmlessly through quantum echoes, while the real ship moved with impossible grace through the gaps in their formation. "They're calling for reinforcements," Rodriguez announced, detecting multiple quantum ruptures forming at the edge of the system. "Massive fleet signatures incoming." Sarah nodded grimly. "They're not used to being challenged." "Dr. Evans, what's the status of our offensive capabilities?" The engineer's response was interrupted by a violent shudder that ran through the ship. Warning lights flashed across every console as the quantum core's power levels surged beyond anything they had seen before. "Core temperature critical," Rodriguez shouted, quantum fluctuations exceeding all known safety parameters. The crystalline hull began to resonate with a frequency that set teeth on edge. Streams of quantum data flooded the ship's systems, overwhelming sensors and threatening to crash their computer cores. "The graviton exposure has triggered something," Dr. Evans explained frantically. "The core isn't just adapting anymore. It's evolving beyond my understanding. These readings, they suggest it's accessing quantum states that shouldn't even exist." Sarah felt the deck plating vibrate beneath her feet as the ship struggled to contain the unprecedented energies flowing through its systems. But where others might have seen impending disaster, she saw opportunity. "This is what the original designers were working toward," she realized aloud. "The core isn't malfunctioning. It's finally achieving its true potential. Lieutenant Rodriguez, divert all available power to the quantum containment fields. Dr. Evans, stop trying to limit the core's evolution. Let it happen." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances, but their trust in their commander outweighed their fears. One by one, they disabled the safety protocols that had always constrained the quantum core's capabilities. The effect was immediate and stunning. The chaotic energy patterns suddenly stabilized, flowing through the ship's systems with purposeful precision. The crystalline hull began to pulse with a deep, resonant frequency that seemed to bend the light around them. "Core stabilizing at new operational levels," Rodriguez reported with amazement. "Quantum field strength has increased by an order of magnitude. Whatever just happened, I think the ship was waiting for this." Through the viewport, Sarah watched as the first wave of alien reinforcements emerged from their quantum ruptures. Hundreds of ships, each more heavily armed than the last, formed up with their battered advance force. "They're charging weapons," Cooper warned. "Multiple targeting locks detected. They're not taking any chances this time." But Sarah Chen stood tall on her bridge, a smile of fierce determination on her face. The Defiant had finally broken free of its artificial constraints, ready to show the galaxy what human innovation truly meant when pushed to its limits. "Send a message to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them we've unlocked the Oracle Project's true potential. And then, my friends, let's show these aliens why humanity's greatest achievements often come when we're pushed past our breaking point." The quantum core hummed with newfound power as the Defiant prepared to face an Armada. The ship that had been mocked as unstable was about to demonstrate that sometimes instability was just another word for unlimited potential. The alien Armada filled the viewport with a constellation of hostile ships, their weapons charged and ready. But aboard the Defiant, Sarah Chen saw not an overwhelming force, but a vast array of quantum signatures waiting to be understood and countered. "Analysis of enemy fleet composition," Cooper reported from Tactical. 523 vessels, divided into attack wings. Their quantum signatures suggest at least 3 distinct technological bases. Dr. Evans looked up from her console, her eyes bright with revelation. "Commander, the core is processing their signatures faster than ever. Each new ship class it analyzes adds to its understanding. It's like they're giving us a quantum engineering textbook written in weapons fire." The alien fleet's first salvo came as a coordinated barrage of various weapon types: graviton torpedoes, quantum disruptors, and exotic particle beams, all converging on the Defiant's position. But the ship was ready. The quantum field rippled and shifted, its structure changing microseconds before each impact. Graviton torpedoes were absorbed and their energy redirected. Quantum disruptors found their signals reflected back, causing confusion in the alien targeting systems. Particle beams dispersed harmlessly across the crystalline hull, their energy feeding the core's endless hunger for new patterns. Message from the alien command ship, Rodriguez announced. They're offering terms. Let's hear it, Sarah replied, never taking her eyes off the tactical display. The alien commander's voice filled the bridge, translated by their computers. Unknown vessel, your quantum technology represents a severe deviation from established physical laws. Submit to immediate quarantine and technology transfer, or face total annihilation. You have one standard time unit to comply. Sarah's response was to initiate the strategy she'd been developing since the core's evolution. Dr. Evans, begin quantum resonance sequence alpha. Mr. Cooper, prepare to execute our attack pattern. Lieutenant Rodriguez, broadcast on all frequencies. Let them hear what humanity has to say. She stood from her command chair, her voice clear and determined. This is Commander Chen of the UES Defiant. Your demands for submission are based on the assumption that you understand the limits of quantum physics. Allow us to demonstrate how much you still have to learn. The Defiant's quantum core spun up to full power, its energy signature rippling across space-time in ways that defied conventional physics. The crystalline hull began to glow with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around it. Core stabilized at maximum output, Rodriguez reported. Quantum field coherence at unprecedented levels. Dr. Evans' hands flew across her console, directing the core's awesome energies. The alien fleet's quantum signatures are providing a perfect template. Their own technology is showing us exactly how to counter it. The Defiant began to move, but not in normal space. The ship's quantum field created a bubble of altered spacetime, allowing it to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. To the alien fleet's sensors, it appeared to be everywhere and nowhere at once. They're launching fighters, Cooper warned. Hundreds of them. Small craft with highly maneuverable quantum drives. Sarah smiled. Perfect. Their fighters will give the core even more patterns to analyze. Execute attack pattern Delta 7. The Defiant's response was unlike anything seen before in space combat. Instead of engaging the fighters directly, it created quantum resonance fields that matched and then disrupted their drive signatures. Fighters began to lose power, their own quantum technology turned against them by the Defiant's superior understanding of quantum mechanics. Enemy capital ships adjusting formation, Cooper reported. They're trying to establish a containment grid using overlapping quantum fields. Let them try, Sarah replied. Dr. Evans, initiate Phase 2. The engineer nodded, her fingers dancing across her controls. The Defiant's quantum core began generating a new type of field, one that didn't just defend against or absorb enemy attacks, but actively reached out to interact with the alien ship's quantum systems. It's working, Evans exclaimed. Their quantum fields are trying to adapt, but we're changing our patterns faster than they can respond. Every adjustment they make teaches us more about their systems. The alien fleet's perfect formation began to waver as ship after ship reported quantum drive fluctuations. Their technology, refined over centuries to operate in specific predictable ways, couldn't handle the Defiant's constantly evolving quantum patterns. They're falling back, Cooper announced with a note of triumph in his voice. Multiple ships showing critical drive instabilities. Their formation is breaking up. But Sarah knew this wasn't over. The alien commander would never accept defeat at the hands of what they saw as inferior technology. The real battle was yet to come. All hands, she called over the ship-wide comm. Prepare for maximum combat efficiency. What we've done so far was just the warm-up. Now we show them what happens when humanity stops playing by everyone else's rules. The Defiant hung in space, its crystalline hull pulsing with barely contained power, ready to prove that sometimes the most effective weapon wasn't the most advanced technology, but the willingness to push that technology beyond its supposed limits. The alien Armada regrouped, their ships forming new patterns, preparing for what they hoped would be an overwhelming assault. But aboard the Defiant, Sarah Chen and her crew stood ready, confident in the knowledge that every attack would only make them stronger. The final battle was about to begin, and humanity's greatest experiment in quantum physics was ready to rewrite the laws of space combat. The alien Armada launched its final assault with the desperate fury of an empire facing its first real challenge. Thousands of weapons blazed across space, turning the void into a deadly tapestry of destructive energy. But aboard the Defiant, Sarah Chen watched the incoming barrage with the calm certainty of someone who had finally understood their true potential. Multiple quantum ruptures detected, Cooper reported. They're bringing in their entire reserve fleet. Current count exceeds 1,000 vessels. Dr. Evans looked up from her station, her eyes shining with understanding. Commander, the Core's processing capabilities are off the charts. It's not just learning anymore. It's predicting their quantum patterns before they form. We're seeing space-time the way they do, but with a perspective they never imagined possible. Sarah nodded, watching as the alien fleet's formation shifted into what they probably thought was an unbeatable attack pattern. They still think this is about raw power. They haven't realized that we're not just fighting their weapons. We're rewriting the rules of quantum physics itself. The Defiant's crystalline hull thrummed with energy as the quantum core reached new levels of synchronization. The ship wasn't just defending against attacks anymore. It was actively reshaping the quantum landscape of space around it. Enemy flagship is powering up some kind of super weapon, Rodriguez announced. Energy readings are beyond anything we've seen yet. Through the viewport, Sarah watched as the massive alien command ship's hull split open, revealing a weapon that seemed to bend light around it. The device powered up with a visible distortion of space-time, preparing to unleash what they clearly thought would be a decisive blow. "Let them fire," Sarah ordered calmly. Dr. Evans, prepare to initiate the Oracle protocol. The engineer's hands trembled slightly as she entered the commands. The Oracle protocol was theoretical, based on patterns they'd discovered in the original project files. If it worked, it would prove that the ship's designers had seen further than anyone had imagined. The alien superweapon fired, sending a beam of concentrated quantum energy that should have been able to tear apart the fabric of reality itself. But when it struck the Defiant's quantum field, something extraordinary happened. The ship's crystalline hull began to resonate at frequencies that shouldn't have been possible, its structure shifting through multiple quantum states simultaneously. The alien weapon's energy wasn't just absorbed, it was transformed. Core stability at 100% and rising. Rodriguez reported with amazement. The quantum field it's spreading throughout the entire battle space. Dr. Evans stared at her readings in wonder. The Oracle protocol is working perfectly. We're not just manipulating quantum states anymore. We're redefining them, creating new rules for how space-time works in our vicinity. The effect rippled outward from the Defiant in waves of impossible energy. Alien ships found their quantum drives suddenly speaking a language they didn't understand. Weapons fired only to have their energy redirected through probability paths that shouldn't have existed. "They're trying to retreat," Cooper announced. "But their quantum drives aren't responding correctly. Our field is preventing them from forming stable ruptures." Sarah stepped forward, her voice firm, as she opened a channel to the alien fleet. "This is Commander Chen. Your weapons are useless. Your drives are powerless. The quantum physics you thought you mastered, we've moved beyond them. Surrender now, or watch as we continue to rewrite the laws of space-time around you." The alien response was immediate but fragmented, their once unified command structure dissolving in the face of something they couldn't understand. Ship after ship powered down their weapons, their crews facing the reality that their technological superiority had been completely upended. "They're standing down," Cooper confirmed. "All ships powering down offensive systems. The flagship is. They're requesting to open diplomatic channels." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Send them our terms. Full withdrawal from human space, recognition of our sovereignty, and open exchange of quantum technology research." As the alien fleet began their surrender procedures, Dr. Evans approached her commander. "The Core's capabilities, they're still expanding. The Oracle Protocol didn't just give us control over quantum physics. It opened up whole new areas of possibility. This ship, what it can do, we've only scratched the surface. Sarah nodded, watching as the once mighty alien armada prepared to retreat. The Defiant had done more than win a battle. It had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in having the most advanced technology, but in seeing possibilities that others missed. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them the Oracle project wasn't a failure. It was just waiting for the right moment to show us what it could really do. And tell them to dig up every scrap of research they can find. The Defiant isn't just a prototype anymore. It's the first of a new era in human spaceflight." The crystalline hull pulsed with newfound power, its quantum field now extending far beyond what its designers had thought possible. The ship that everyone had mocked as unstable and dangerous had become the key to humanity's future among the stars. And Sarah Chen, the commander who had never lost faith in the Defiant's potential, stood ready to explore what lay beyond the boundaries of known physics. They had learned that true innovation didn't come from following established rules. It came from having the courage to break them and forge new ones. The age of conventional space combat was over. The era of quantum possibility had begun, and humanity was leading the way.